Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What a great day to be a Trojan. It's a great day to be a Trojan to celebrate this facility, but it's also a great day to be a Trojan to celebrate a Troy leader, Dr. John M. Long, who's now in heaven leading the choirs of angels and stars and stripes forever. So it is a celebratory day today, too, because we know we have someone who's no longer with us but left his impact and imprint here. So it's a double celebration. We celebrate the facility, we celebrate the life, certainly, of Dr. Long. I'm John Schmidt, the Senior Vice Chancellor for Student Services and Administration. You know, Dr. Hawkins often reminds us that it's not what you're looking at, it's what you see. And in 2 years' time, we now see a facility that's second to none. It inspires. And on this occasion and for this facility, let me add just a little different twist. When using this fitness center, it's not what your body looks like, it's what it can do. And just kind of a little corollary to Dr. Hawkins' what you see is what you get. Truly in keeping with our 1887 motto, to educate the body to act, this grand facility will assist in transforming lives, stirring minds, and shaping bodies. Before proceeding with our program, let me recognize some leaders who keep us focused in our mission of serving students, our Board of Trustees. Now, I'll introduce each one individually and ask you to hold your applause till they're all recognized. Our President Pro Tem, Gibson Vance. The Honorable Lamar Higgins, Vice President Pro Tem. Honorable Brigadier General Ed Kroll. The Honorable Roy Drinkard. The Honorable Alan Owen. The Honorable Charles Nayland. The Honorable Gerald Dial. The Honorable Earl Johnson. The Honorable Karen Carter. And Karen, it's so good to see you back and healthy again. God is indeed good. Honorable John Harrison. And our SGA President, Morgan Long. So let's give a round of applause to our leaders. Now, on this event, this occasion, we also have our foundation board members. And our foundation board members, for those of you who don't know what they do, they're our external funding. They're our endowments, our scholarships, our buildings, and we thank them for all that they do. So I would ask the same thing. I will recognize each individually and ask you to hold your applause so that everyone has been recognized. Mr. Larry Hughes. And Larry, again, it's so great to see you because God is indeed good, as we discussed earlier. Great to see you back. Mr. Lewis Rushing, Mr. Bill Hopper, Mrs. Debbie Hopper, Mr. John Ferguson. I didn't see Mr. Bill Wasden. Okay. I don't see Mr. Jeff Coleman.
Jeff just walked in.
He's down below.
Mr. Jeff Coleman, we're now approaching. Miss Claudine Nichols. Mr. Randall Moore, and you made it through Mardi Gras. And then our foundation staff who ably assist the foundation board, Major General Walter Gavan, Dr. Jim Bookout, and Miss Becky Watson. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to also introduce my fellow colleagues that I work with daily. Dr. Lance Tatum, he's the Senior Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. And I might also add, he's a brother of Dr. Shane Tatum, who operates this facility, and you'll hear from Shane later on. So a dynamic duo. Dr. Jim Bookout, the Senior Vice Chancellor for Financial Affairs, who I might add, with the architects, the builders, and Shane, brought this project to completion.
Under budget.
Under budget, there we go. Major General Walter Gavan, he's a Senior Vice Chancellor for Advancement. As I mentioned before, he works with our foundation board, as well as our state and local governments in bringing additional funding to the university. And Brent Jones, who I describe as our tireless Energizer bunny, he's our athletic director. So let's give a round of applause to them. I see a group here that we've certainly got to acknowledge, and that's our students. We want to thank our students for choosing Troy University. Let's give them a round of applause. And for our fraternity members here, the Alpha Tau Omega, and more will be said about them in just a few moments, but we're glad that you're here with us as well. And one addition, because we work so closely with the independent schools, with our dual enrollment, Miss Pam Lovelady from Coosa Valley Academy. Thank you for being here, Pam, and thanks for sending us great students. So I guess it's the Marine in me. Let me kind of give the order of march and how we'll proceed here for the rest of the morning. Well, first of all, we'll have a prayer of thanksgiving by Abby Philpott from Andalusia, Alabama. We'll have remarks by the Board of Trustees, President Pro Tem Gibson Vance. Next, SGA President Morgan Long will deliver comments from a student perspective. Dr. Jim Vickery will discuss the art that hangs over here in the atrium. Then Dr. Shane Tatum, he's the director of our fitness center, as I said before. He'll share some activities about this facility. He'll talk about spin classes, but it has nothing to do with laundry. That's my joke. Okay, all right. And then Chancellor Hawkins will recognize many of the hands that made this building a success, and he'll end with a special presentation at the end. So we'll begin, and then also, by the way, after Dr. Hawkins' comment, we will have the official ribbon cutting. So let's begin with prayer. Abby, would you please come forward?
Let us pray. Father, you're good, and I thank you, Lord, for the privilege of communication with you. We don't deserve it, but God, I thank you also for Jesus Christ. God, and I thank you that through him, you've made a way for those who trust in him to be made right and back in relationship with you, God, and that's a gift that we can never thank you enough for. And God, I thank you also for each person here, God, that you know their heart and that you unite us all under having the same maker in you. God, I thank you for every piece that has played a part in making this dream a reality, Lord, for Troy. And I thank you, Lord, for your word that says, while bodily exercise is of some value, God, holiness is of value in this life and in the life to come. And so I pray that you'd help us just to steward what you've given us well, and Lord, to be people of thanksgiving, just reminded of your goodness, Lord, and the purity of your character, Lord, as we come here and as we interact with one another. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Good morning. What a great day for Troy. When I graduated in 1987, I could not imagine that we would have a facility like this. What a tremendous opportunity. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and every one of your Board of Trustee members except one, due to a conflict, it is here today, and it just tells us how important this is. At the end of the day, the Board of Trustees are given by law a statutory duty to do certain things for the university. But at the end of the day, what we do is one thing. We try to make decisions on what is best for our students. And we're so proud of this facility because of how we got here. For those of you students who have been around for a while, you'll recall that it was the SGA, Morgan, the students that came up with the idea on having this facility and how to fund this facility. They went to the administration, they crunched the numbers, they looked at the feasibility of it, then they brought that idea to the board and we approved it. So truly, it's something we can be proud of because it is a collaborative effort of all the stakeholders. As Colonel Smith mentioned, our motto, you can't look at this building without thinking about our motto. We already have world-class education to educate the mind. We have a culture created and fostered by Chancellor Hawkins that is unrivaled. Now we have the facility to educate the body to go forward and do great things. So it's a great day for Troy. Thank you for being here.
You know, Morgan Long is our dynamic SGA president, and he's an excellent advocate for the students. My dream, my hope for Morgan is that one day he'll be a Marine Corps general.
Well, coming from you, Dr. Schmidt, that means the world. Knowing your history with the Marines and what you've worked with them and still hold their character today, it really means a lot. I appreciate that. As Mr. Vance said, it's a great day to be a Trojan. Every day is a great day to be a Trojan. Today's just a little greater. Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, this was a project started with the student government. As we have Cody Farrell in the back as well as Matthew Thompson. If y'all would stand up. Cody Farrell was the SGA president in 2013 to 2014. Then Matthew Thompson was SGA president from 2014 to 2015. Cody was the actual president who implemented the vote in order for the students to vote on wanting this recreational facility. And then Matthew was the president who established this fee. So for the past, 6 years now, students have been paying $100 a semester in order to see this facility, not even use it. We have students who have paid that for 4 years and don't even have the opportunity now to use it, but they saw the vision along with us for this facility to benefit students in the future. See, and that's what's so great about Troy, is that yes, we want stuff now, we want stuff for us, but we're selfless in that. We see things in the future and how it can benefit our future students, not just us today. So with that testament and the testament along with working with such a great administration, with all these tremendous Board of Trustee members, Chancellor Hawkins, of course, Dr. Schmidt, Dr. Dew, who's here today as well, we thank y'all for working not for us, but with us. And in all the projects that we do, no matter how tenacious we might be sometimes, because I know we might come in guns ablaze and say, hey, we need this for students. But this building right here is the testament to the great relationship our administration and our board has with our students. So from the student body, I would like to say just a tremendous thank you for the gratitude that we feel as we walk in and use this facility. We appreciate it every single day. So thank you for that. A quick little story: when I was visiting Troy, my admissions guide at the time, his name was Tony Weaver. He was telling us, my family, that hey, there's going to be the state-of-the-art rec center by the time your junior year comes around. I remember getting in the car with my family going, this guy, he's trying to sell us on Troy. It might be done by the last semester of my senior year. And so here we are, last semester, senior year, have this great rec center. So there we go with that. And get to use it. Go to graduate school. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, again, we thank you for not working for us, but with us. And I hope you guys enjoy looking at this facility. It is quite tremendous. So thank you, and go Trojans.
Truly, we have some great student leaders. Thank you all for your leadership and your vision, too. Dr. Jim Vickery has been a friend for a long time and a colleague, as well as a faculty member. He's going to come now and add some perspective to the artwork that you all are looking at. Jim?
Chancellor Hawkins, thank you for inviting me to be here to do this. I thank you. Members of the Board of Trustees, Troy University faculty, staff, and especially students who are funding this building. As an old SGA president myself, I know what an accomplishment this really represents. I wish it had been here when I was on the faculty. I wouldn't be standing here saying what I'm about to say, which is I feel completely inadequate and unfit to be standing in this facility and being asked to do what I've been asked to do by the Chancellor, which is to introduce you to the artist and to the art which hangs behind me, which is an example of Janet Nolan's work that adorns the atrium of this magnificent new monument to Trojan wellness and fitness. Janet Nolan and I were close friends for nearly 70 years. We attended the same schools, grades 2 through 16. We knew Johnny Long when he was a band director at our alma mater in Montgomery, and we went to the same church. I loved her and I admired her art, but I'm not an expert on it, and that's why I feel unfit to speak today. But with the help of her sister, Sue Nolan Thompson, who is here seated in the back with me, and her husband Alton, I can tell you what I know about it and about her. Janet, not Sue. Sue would not be pleased if I spoke about her. Janet believed that you don't have to be a painter or a sculptor to make art, though she was both. That canvas, brushes, and paint, and clay and stone are not the only raw materials of art. She believed that incipient art can be found in the unexpected places of our world that are all around us, by those able to transform the common materials that lie about us everywhere in plain sight. Such are the found art artists who enable us to perceive art where we saw none before by seeing abandoned and discarded items, the detritus of our throwaway culture, not as junked eyesores disparaging the environment, but rather as the raw materials of a newly purposed art. She didn't quote Yogi Berra as far as I know, but she might well have referenced the New Yorker's words when he said, this is close to what John said earlier, you can see a lot just by looking. And I know he and the Chancellor represent in their work that kind of perspective. A Montgomeryan, late of New York City, Janet Nolan was art educated at Auburn University and at Georgia State University, which came her MFA, and worked in the nation's largest city from 1976 until her death last year. When she died, she left a void in the world of found art, an artistic discipline in which she had developed a national reputation as an artistic magician who was able to take and transform discarded gloves, plastic six-pack holders, my favorite of her materials, and umbrellas. Knowing Janet's work, you can't look at garbage in quite the same way. During her 4-decade-long career, she prepared and executed 16 solo exhibitions and participated in more than 30 group exhibitions and performing arts collaborations from the East Coast to Sun Valley, Idaho, and cities in between. One of her commissioned works now hangs in another atrium, like this one does, at Harvard University, thereby connecting that venerable institution with this one in a very special way. Her work was the subject of 40 periodical write-ups and references, including 9 in the New York Times. In 2003, when I was still on the faculty, Janet came here and first exhibited on our campus in connection with a workshop on found art that she conducted for Troy students. Now some of Janet's art is finding a permanent home here on this now architecturally glorious campus, in grand facilities like this one, and in the International Arts Center not far from here. Thanks to the personal friendship of Jack and Janice Hawkins with Janet during the last year of her life. Mrs. Hawkins in particular is responsible for the appearance here of one of Janet's last massive works, an art work titled High Tide, which itself has been transformed in order to fit it into this space. Janet's out of state today, of course, and couldn't be here, but Janice Hawkins is the person most responsible for making this campus a home to 2 artists with gifts whose name begin with N, Nall, and now Nolan. As High Tide colorfully reveals, Janet's gift was to enable us to see familiar cultural objects like discarded beer cans, discarded 7-Up cans, in newer and richer ways, opening up our senses to fresh insights of delight. You can't look at her work without smiling, generally, while simultaneously improving the environment by ridding the environment of these kinds of items, in which they're always found. As the plaque downstairs states, and I hope you'll read it, a choreography of flattened beverage cans collected and riveted together over 2 years to create a series of 8-foot-long linear strips, reflecting the movement of the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Alabama during the rolling and roiling of Gulf waters at high tide, sometimes depositing on Gulf shores the very kind of found objects of which the work is composed. Next time you're walking the sand beaches at Gulf shores and you see a flattened orange drink container, think of Janet's art and what she saw when she saw those kinds of things lying about in New York City. It was originally exhibited horizontally. It was exhibited that way in Auburn at the Jewel Collins Smith Museum of Fine Art as part of her Please Play Again showcase. Her last, which is featured in her last and most comprehensive final catalog, which is this book entitled The Art of Redemption. As you can see, it now hangs vertically behind me as though the tide has morphed into a color-dappled water spout in Mobile Bay. Perhaps, Dr. Hawkins, near where you were born and raised. Regardless, it invites our letting go to frolic in the ebb and flow over time that this building provides us as we exercise our minds and bodies in what is now an exclamation point for the fabulousness of this facility. A facility which will doubtless generate its share of beverage cans, whose contents have been exhausted by those seeking fitness here, cans on which future found artists can work their magic. As Janet's friend and an admirer of her art, I am thrilled that high tide has washed ashore this far inland and found a home here at Troy University. Its present reminds me of the words of Henry James, written a century ago in a letter to a friend, with which I'll conclude. He said, "It is art that makes life, makes interest, makes importance in this world of distractions to the contrary." Thank you, Mr. Chancellor.
As Dr. Vickery was talking and explaining the art, you know, we have spring break, and I think in about 2 weeks. Is that right? About right? Yeah. Well, as they walk the beaches of Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, perhaps they will keep this in mind as they go through. So thank you, Dr. Vickery, for that explanation. You know, we hear the phrase, living the dream. I'm living the dream. Well, I'm about to introduce somebody right now who is living his dream as the director of this facility, Dr. Shane Tatum. Please come forward.
Thank you, Dr. Schmidt. I appreciate that. Again, my name is Dr. Shane Tatum. I'm the Director of Campus Recreation for here at Troy University. On behalf of myself and my staff, we welcome all of y'all here today to dedicate this fine facility. Joseph Lee, who is the father of modern playground movement, said, "Recreation's purpose is not to kill time, but to make life. It's not to keep a person occupied, but to keep them refreshed. Not to offer an escape from life, but to provide a discovery of life." This is the core purpose of the Trojan Fitness and Wellness Center, to give students a place to come to socialize with friends or to release stress from a busy day at work or in class. This would not be possible without my staff and their dedication and their effort on the quality of programs that we offer here every day, from fitness programs and to intramural sports programs to just general free play activities. In regards to my staff, I would like to introduce them to the team that makes this all possible. Aaron Martin, who's in the back there, is the Facilities and Aquatics Coordinator. He makes sure this facility is up and running, it's open, and everything's working well. Terry Fuller, who is our Fitness and Wellness Coordinator, who has developed over 50 programs that are going to be offered to the students starting in the fall, has done all that. Joey Bilcher, who is our intramural sports coordinator. We got him from Western Illinois through Sanford. I think he's going to do a lot of good things for us. And the many student workers that work here every day to make this thing possible. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce my wife, Jessica Tatum. Without her support and understanding of the long nights that when I'm not at home working at this facility, none of this would all be possible. Finally, after the dedication is concluded, my staff will be available to give you tours around this great facility. There'll be about six or seven of them. We'll break off into small groups, and then they'll answer any questions that you might have. Again, thank you for coming, and go Trojans.
Shane indeed has put together a great staff. I think right now we're serving, Shane, about 6,000 students weekly. So it's great utilization. You know, Dr. Hawkins has been a fitness advocate since his early days in the Marine Corps. In the mid-1990s, you would often see him in the city, on campus, jogging around. He truly lives the 1887 motto at all levels, creating a campus that yields well-rounded students with a passion for excellence. Let's welcome our Chancellor, Dr. Jack Hawkins.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schmidt. I wish I could return to those days of activity that he just described, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize this group of young men. In just a few days, they will launch what they refer to as Walk Hard from Troy, Alabama to Panama City Beach. And the reason they do that, that's 127 miles if I'm not in error there, and they do that to raise money for the wounded warriors. And last year, this group raised $75,000 that allows the wounded warriors to have a complete flight. I want to, many of you have heard me cite the words of Billy Graham many times, but I really do feel this morning that it needs recitation once more, and that is, he said the two most important but the most underutilized words in any language are those words, thank you. And the list of those to be thanked is truly endless. And I think, beginning with Dr. Schmidt, I want to thank him for his leadership. Shane, thank you, Dr. Tatum, for your leadership. Certainly we will be mindful, especially as we approach the next few days, of the loss of our good friend, Dr. John Long. What a legacy he lives and leaves for all of us. What a wonderful man. He passed away last night about 9:30, and so it's it's with great regret that we saw that, but it's with great pride that we reflect on the difference that he made for this university and the icon that he represented. To my colleague, Dr. Bookout, and to the SVCs, thank you. To Whaley Construction, both junior and senior. I know the Whaleys are here somewhere. They generally recede to the back of the room, but wherever Alec and Alex are located this morning, thank you. To CC and Litchfield, Frank and Jimmy, thank you for the beautiful work you continue to do. Many of the buildings on this campus were, in fact, the direct result of both Alec Whaley and CC and Litchfield, and we appreciate that so much. To our trustees and you, Mr. Vance, thank you. As was pointed out, this would not have been possible had not the Board of Trustees reviewed the numbers and had confidence that this could be created. And I really thank you for your support. To Morgan Long, as Morgan finished his comments, Trustee Johnson leaned over and said that young man has a great future in front of him, and whether it's as a Marine General or whatever you do, Morgan, we're so proud of you. And welcome home, Cody and Matthew. You were a big piece of the puzzle that helped put all this together, and we thank you for that and your continued dedication to your alma mater. We're very, very proud of you. To Dr. Jim Vickery, thank you for those well-chosen words and reminding us that we have so many things in common with Harvard University, but one of the most important is Miss Janet Nolan and the work that hangs there and now hangs here. To Sue, thank you. Please stand up and let us. I met Sue last year when we were visiting with Janet in New York, and we're so delighted that she's able to be here. Sue Nolan Thompson, please. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank, too, Frank Marquette and Ed Noriega for facilitating the installation of this exhibit. But I think the greatest appreciation is extended, and I'd like for them, as I call their names, and we'll recognize them as a group, the students who worked hard for the last several weeks to make the exhibit possible for all of us to enjoy. The team leader was Brandon Rice. Just if you'll raise your hand. Madeline Bond. Madeline, thank you. Abby Phillips. Thank you, Abby. Shamario Ross, thank you so much. Rachel Ward and Paul Wolf. Please say thank you to these students. And they're all in their own right aspiring artists, and I know they have a bright future, each one of them ahead of themselves. You know, as Dr. Schmidt said, Troy University truly does stand on a solid foundation. I think it's on a rock upon which we stand, and we often talk about value and values. That's what's important to Troy University, academic value and values. And I think our values are truly captured in that motto that he cited a few minutes ago, that I hope all of you know the motto. It was coined in 1887, lost. And Jeff, when we were about to celebrate the 125th anniversary, it was found by our people in public affairs, resurrected, and it couldn't have been written yesterday and be any more appropriate when it said, "We educate the mind to think, the heart to feel, and the body to act." And indeed, it was the philosopher John Locke who said, "A sound mind and a sound body is a short but full description of a happy state in this world." But a study just a year and a half ago released by the National Institutes of Health indicated to us that only 1/2 of America's college students are engaged at a proper level of physical activity to promote good health. Well, this is our contribution to take care of the other 50%. So we want 100% of our students to be engaged in this beautiful facility because there's great potential in hard work. You know, there's a saying that Colonel Schmidt often cites, and that is, "No pain, no gain." But we want it to get beyond the pain to a point of pleasure, and we want all the students to really take full advantage of this. Today, no doubt, is a happy occasion for all of us, but it's not without its bittersweet moments. Because one of our students, a young man who also was a member of this fraternity, and in Baldwin County, he was an employee of Whaley Construction Company. In fact, he helped build this center. Will Brooks unfortunately lost his life in December as a result of an automobile accident. And his friend and brother in ATO, Sawyer McCullough, was with him. Will is here today with his ATO brothers. And I'd like to say to all of you how proud we are of all the ATOs, and I appreciate their presence today. And as we mourn Will, we'll also recognize today that he was instrumental in a very important way and was known to the people who actually own the company. When I spoke with Alec Whaley initially about Will, he knew all about Will. And I want to thank Savannah Simmons. Where is Savannah this morning? She is here. Savannah, thank you. It was from Savannah that I was called early, just shortly after we lost Will, to discuss him, and we communicated, and I appreciate Savannah loving Will like she did as a good friend. Will's co-workers at Whaley Construction described him as well-mannered, hard-working, and Alec Whaley Jr. said he is a bright star and an important member of our team. I'd like to ask Alec Whaley and both Whaleys, if they're here, to please come forward and join me as we invite Will's parents, Ricky and Amy Brooks, to come forward. And on behalf of the Troy University family, we have just a token to remind you of the real presence that was created in a short period of time by Will, and how much this university values you and your family. Please, let us present this to you. I hope, and I know many of you have been here almost for every dedication ceremony that we've had over the last 25 years. And you've heard me say the same thing, and you'll probably hear me say it until I no longer say it, whenever that might be. But over the last quarter century, we've invested about $375 million in our physical plant. And we believe today that Troy University is the most beautiful university in the state of Alabama. And we'll continue to work hard to continue to earn that title. But you've also heard me say repeatedly that it was Winston Churchill who said, "We shape our buildings, and then our buildings shape us." Well, I can think of no building that statement was more appropriate for than this building. We shape our buildings, and then our buildings shape us. And so we look forward to all of those improvements that we can make during the years ahead. But to each one of you, know how grateful we are that you're here. Know how grateful we are to count you as a member of the Troy University family. God bless you. Thank you.
As Shane prepares for the ribbon cutting, I'm remiss. I forgot an important group of people in my introductory remark. We enjoy, as you know, Dr. Hawkins, a great town-gown relationship. I see some of our city council officials here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the support you give the university. I also see Dan Smith. Dan, where are you? Dan runs the fitness center or the recreation center here in the city. They've been very cooperative and instrumental in supporting us, also giving us ideas as we went through this project. So Dan, thank you, and City Council, thank you for your support. I'm remiss in not recognizing you earlier. So, just a little round of applause. I see another person here. We probably need Ken Devers. Ken, thank you for all your hard work, because the attention to detail is a lot of credit to you as well.